Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 308 of Shirt Show! We're talking with John, the traveling screen printer in Colorado. Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan. I am the owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest today was my buddy John Magee. He is from Avient. He is also the traveling screen printer on Instagram. John is just an all-around great dude in this industry, very knowledgeable. He writes a lot of articles for the Shirt Show website. He also has his Instagram, obviously, where he shares a ton of print knowledge. But recently, there's a lot of stuff going around in our industry right now with, say, mental health or just burnout or overall stress because of the way the world is right now and the way our industry has been. And me and John got talking about it and thought it would be wise to do an episode and talk about how it's affecting us and what we're seeing. And I guess just kind of overall trying to put out there that you're not alone, and these are our experiences. I kind of got pretty vulnerable and said a lot of stuff that is weird for me to do, but, you know, I wanted to make sure that people knew that you can say these things and you can be open with your friends. John shares his story as well, and it's just one of those things. I want to be there. I want to be available for you guys to talk to if you need it. I want to say that if you guys want to deep dive more on these episodes, I write a weekly newsletter. It is shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter, or there's probably a link in this description. Sign up, check it out. It's got stuff that's going on with me and my experiences. It's got industry news from Printing United, articles from guys like John Magee and Kyle Caldwell and more. And it's got shop hacks, tech tips, all these kinds of things. So check it out. It's free and you can get one every week. Also, in the spirit of this episode, if you are new to this industry or you've been around for a while and you just want other printers to talk to, sign up for our Shirt Show Discord. shirtshowofficial.com/Discord. It's totally free. Again, it's just you can do it on your computer, you do it on your phone with the app. It's got everything in there. It's all kinds of screen printers talking with each other, helping each other out. It's kind of like a Facebook group, but less cringy as far as trolls and just weird stuff. It's all helpful people. So go check it out if you want to. We'd love to have you. This show would not be possible without our amazing partners. Frank. It all starts with a screen. Whether it's new frames or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. If you care about consistency, great registration, and buttery smooth prints, stop buying crappy screens and invest in the best. Learn more at graphicscreenfashion.com, greatfuckingscreens.com, or ffffrank.com. Let's be real, reclaiming screens kinda sucks, but EasyWay makes it suck way less. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals and equipment are built to clean faster, work better, and save you some sanity in the washout booth. They're running a monthly giveaway right now where you have a chance to win $250 in product credit. Head over to easyway.com/giveaway to enter today. EasyWay, it's the easiest way, baby. Is your art backlog piling up? Graphics Source has your back. Whether you're a one-person shop or running a large production team, Graphics can either be your full-time art department or your a la carte option for artwork separations. They also have some of the best embroidery digitizing out there. Their patches have gone to the moon. Let them help you alleviate some of that stress. Be sure to check them out at graphicsource.com. SNS is that behind-the-scenes partner every shop needs. With one website, one purchase order, 14 distribution centers, and over 100 beloved brands, you can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. Be sure to order your blanks the smart way at ssactivewear.com. I also want to talk to you about, I kind of posted on Instagram, but Jason Peters from SNS showed me at the Cornette event that I went to that if you look at your UPS label on your box that came from SNS, there is a QR code near the bottom that is actually your packing slip. If you scan that with your phone, it pulls up a digital packing slip of what's in that box. And if you have any issues with what's in that box, if you're missing something, right then and there, you can say that you're missing something and they will send you a new one. It's pretty awesome. You should check it out. For over 90 years, Stahls has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they continue to set the bar, but they are number one in education on all things heat press. Be sure to check them out on YouTube and order your transfers, patches, and so much more at stahls.com. Ryonet has always been that solid go-to resource for screen printers. With rock-solid supplies, deep educational resources, and a support network that has your back, Ryonet has the tools and knowledge to help you move forward. Be sure to check them out at screenprinting.com. Also want to talk about our new buds, Bella Canvas. You probably all know them from the 3001 to 3001 CVC, all these other things that they offer, amazing shirts. But they have a bunch of new stuff that came out. They have a whole heavyweight line. They have garment dye. It's pretty sweet. If you're looking for one of those heavy garment dye tees that you want to be able to remove the tag and relabel for your customers, it's an awesome shirt to check out. It is the 4810GD. If you need a sample, hit up Christina at bellacanvas.com and she will get you one. I know you haven't listened to this episode yet, but it does get kind of deep and emotional. If any of you are struggling at all, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you, love to see what's going on. If there's any way that I can help you or just be someone to talk to, I would love to have that. So reach out to me on Instagram at ShirtShowOfficial. You can go to our website too and send a message there. I would love to hear from you, or leave a comment in the YouTube channel and just let me know what you think. Any suggestions or anything else too, if you guys want to do that, would be great. But I'm here for you if you need it. Enjoy this one. I'll see you later.
What's up, dude?
What's up, handsome? How's your day today?
It's been long. I drove from my home in Colorado to Salt Lake City. It was nice.
How far of a drive is that?
Nice long drive. 7 hours, 49 minutes.
Damn.
So I don't know what it is in miles, but I'm not concerned about the miles.
Yeah. I don't ever think about the miles. I think of just the drive time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to be totally fine with long drives, like high school and up until maybe mid-20s. I was totally fine. Like I could care less about a long drive because I was always driving far for shows. And then once I kind of stopped for a little while, I was like, man, I don't want to do anything over like 2 hours. Like I just don't want to drive that far anymore. Now I don't care as much, but there was a good period of my life where I just drove a ton, especially when I lived in Atlanta. I was driving back home all the time and it was like a 16-hour drive, but I would do it like straight through. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I've always loved long drives, but I live on, the west side of the country. The drives are great. The East Coast, it can just, you're hitting traffic after traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I used to be in a motorcycle club that the whole point was mileage, who could get the most mileage. It wasn't me, but, my value to touring bands, stuff like that was that I can drive all night. I mean, I've done so many 24-hour drives. I have no idea how many it is at this point.
We've done some drives with the band where I always drive because I get really car sick. So I'm like the driver and it's my vehicle anyway. But there were so many where I was exhausted, like drive to a show, play, turn around, drive home a couple hours or whatever. And like totally falling asleep at the wheel with your bandmates in the back and a trailer behind you, like drifting into other lanes. Or I used to call it like taking corners like extra soft or extra wide, but really I was falling asleep at the wheel. And I remember one time I was like super delirious, like falling asleep. And I pulled over at a truck stop and I told them, they were like, what are you doing? I was like, I got to go out and check, make sure the trailer's still like attached. Something seems funny. And I don't know what I did. I was totally delirious. I like got on the ground and rolled under the van and I just fell asleep. Like I was just like, I need to, my body was like, you have to sleep or you're going to kill somebody. And I just did that. So, dude, I don't know. That's why falling asleep at the wheel is sketchy as hell. But when you're a teenager, it's like, fuck it. Let's just do it.
I've only had one close call, and it was a drive from St. Louis to Gainesville. And I volunteered to drive that night. And as we're coming through Georgia, I took a wrong turn and got us way off track. And then I woke everybody up like, hey, I got to turn around. And like, if you guys got out and take a piss, and then, on the side of the road, got back in, I'm like, wait, nobody's going to stay awake with me.
Yeah.
I think at some point in Florida, I called it and I was like, hey, somebody else has got to drive. I've had it.
It's rough. So anyway, lately, I don't know, behind the scenes for a lot of shops and a lot of people I've been talking to, there's this like wave of, feelings and anxiety and hardship and all this, but nobody ever wants to talk about it publicly because they don't want to show that their business is not doing well or they're not doing well. It's the I'm fine culture of just constantly saying I'm fine over and over again. And I saw you had a post recently about like mental health and all this other stuff, and I was like, we should talk about that and see kind of how you feel about it and what you're hearing. And I don't want to give away anybody's names in any of this from people I've talked to, but I'm going to share. I'll try to get as vulnerable as I can without feeling super uncomfortable. But I don't know. I think it's very important right now, especially after the last couple of days. I've talked to a couple shops where I'm like, ugh, like either they're quitting or closing their doors or laying everybody off or something. It's something's going on, and it probably should be talked about so that people, if you're listening, don't feel alone or shitty about it.
Yeah. I mean, owning a business is hard, no matter what business you're in. Owning this business is harder for different reasons. And I think back, if you survived 2008, that's one big pat on your back. If you survived COVID, that's another big pat on your back. I don't even know what to call what we're going through right now. Just the ups and downs, the target's moving every day. And it's exhausting for people. When I first started this job 10 years ago, I mentioned in one of my posts that about every other week, somebody would break down emotionally in front of me, and it freaked me out. Then I didn't know what it was at that time. I understood it to be relief because I'm offering an answer, and it's not an expensive answer. It's just, here's how to tune things up. But I've slowly been putting things together over the past month or so that people are saying things like, man, I could just break at the drop of a, what do you drop? At a moment's notice. Yeah. People would say things like, I don't know what it is, but when I was younger, I felt tougher, and now a commercial can set me off. And I've been agreeing with these, yeah, you know what? I had no emotions until I had a kid. And then I couldn't watch A House of a Thousand Corpses anymore because those are all people's kids they're killing right now. Just little things like that. But there's more to it than that. Especially if you have a kid who's asking you what should I prepare for in the future? What should I do? It's that alone by itself is a big gray area. If AI and robots are coming, if oil prices are going to spike more, if jobs are going to go away. What do you tell your kid? But now pull that back into our segment of owning a screen print shop that we worked our asses off to build, and that, borrowed, begged, steal, and cheat to get there. And I see this pattern of shops start, they do really well, and they hit an apex point, and then you go into survival mode as either the reality of life or just the economy starts to beat you up. And then you start getting more lean. At this top point, you kind of plateau for a little bit, and then you realize oh shit, we're hemorrhaging money. Money is starting to slow down coming in. What do we do to be smarter? Now we can't have a dedicated screen washout person. That person's got to wash screens and catch shirts for part of the day. And then you end up fine tuning your shop again when you thought that once you're going up, you were never going to plateau or come down. And in this industry, there's loads of different plateaus. There's dollar amount plateaus. There's machinery plateaus. And I don't hear people talking about that often.
I don't think anybody talks about that.
Well, I mean, you talk to people like Mark Houdre, people like that who have been in this industry and look at it as a science. They seem to have an idea of some of those milestones. And I don't talk to him or any of those people enough to really, fill in those blanks. But what is more vulnerable than, having to wait for business to come in the door or your employees to come in the door to finish the day? I mean, I just said this to, 20 minutes ago. Every day that I walked to my shop at the front door, I thought I knew what we were going to do that day. There's not a single day that it went that way. It's find out who called it sick, find out what machine isn't working, find out what UPS fucked up and isn't delivering today, find out that the shirts you sent out to a band, showed up to the wrong venue a day late. And now you've got to shuffle that out and, get the merchandise out to them.
I I so very much agree with everything that you just said. And I think the reality that I'm coming to with all of this is, I talk to Christina or I'll talk to others about this or peers and whatever. And it's like, it's the uncertainty. It's like for the first 15 years that I was in business, like say pre-COVID, was always the same. Like it was like, get up in the morning, you got emails, you got customers, people want screen printed shirts. Like we walk in, we got 100 emails in our inbox, we go through, we make sales, we grow every year, year after year. It was like up, up, up. Everything's good. We're just selling shirts, whatever. And then right around the time of COVID was also the time where all this digital stuff's taken off and there's all this new tech and there's all this new, like, not even just like DTG and DTF and all that stuff, but also like technology and AI and on people wanting stuff POD, and all this stuff is kind of around the same time where it's like, hey, let's just throw a fucking M80 into this and like see what happens. Like I feel like that's what's going on. And on top of that, COVID happens and a new administration happens and tariffs happen and just the world in general is like, hey, we don't know what we want to do. It's almost like the uncertainty of all of those things just wears on you because you just don't know what tomorrow's going to be ever. And I had a discussion with somebody the other day about this where it's like, I would almost rather us either go, like if say it's a political thing or a world thing, like I'd almost rather us go to war or just not go to war than this like middle ground uncertainty thing. Because I feel like if we knew that war was going to happen or we knew that war wasn't going to happen, we could all take a breath and be like, okay, like let's figure out tomorrow. But instead, everybody's just like nail biting, being like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Should I spend money? Should I not spend money? Like what's winter going to look like? Like
that's by design. Like, it's keeping us on edge. Seems like whoever the powers that be, whoever you want to call them, whatever you want to call it, that seems like that's part of the plan to keep us anxious and wear us out. And I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I'm trying my best not to become a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand more about what the future is going to bring, but there's none of the traditional ways of understanding what the future is going to bring are working right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you think, when you start your business and you start that uphill trajectory and you're moving that way, you think nothing's going to knock me down. And then when a couple of things do knock you down and you get back up, and that's, I want to pat anybody on the back has been knocked down, had to get right back up again, whether they chose to or not to. It's, you don't know what the battle is that you're stepping up into again next is.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I mean, and then like you said, with the digital technologies, that will probably bring value to what we do, but there'll probably be less of us doing it at some point. It's like printing posters.
Yeah. Well, I want to step back before we get too into this, because I feel like when I saw your, I reached out to you after I saw the first video or whatever, it seems like you had gone through something to know what was up. Like you weren't just hearing chatter from people. I feel like you had experienced some of this to a degree too. Like when you had your own shop, you talked about like the uncertainties of day and all this other stuff. Can you, or do you feel comfortable talking about kind of some of that with your own experience? And then I'll talk about mine in the middle of that. And then we can kind of talk about what we think is going on and going to happen.
Well, I'll try to be general. I made friends with a customer recently and realized that they were going at the speed that I was moving at before I turned 40, at the, with just the voraciousness that I had before I hit a wall. And then I talked to that person who, I was like, hey, listen, let's just put aside the business part of this relationship. I want to foster a friendship with you. I think you're going to hit a wall soon. And here are the things that are going to be the signs that it's going to happen, and what's going to suffer from it. And that's going to be your personal health, your relationships. If you have kids, your family, that's something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think,
but trying to continue, but I don't know. Like, this is the thing. Like, I used to never have emotions. I used to never get choked up. And I was telling Christina on the way here today, I stopped in Rifle, Colorado, where I had, when I closed my shop, I had go work construction up in the mountains. And this one roadway in this shitty hotel, in a shitty town. It's not that shitty of a town, but it's not the greatest. I was at my lowest point, and I was just trying to survive. And that was from closing my shop after just burning myself out. And more importantly than that, I burned my wife out. We came to a point where we're getting ready to sign on a partner to buy our building, to invest in more equipment, to just continue with that upward growth. Like, it was obvious that we could do well, that we did a great job. We did it on time. And to this person, it seemed like we're a safe bet to invest in. And, in one of my posts I put up, I talk about when he pushed the contract over to me, I hesitated. I had the pen in my hand. I was getting ready to sign, and I hesitated. And he put his hand back on the contract and pulled it back. And he goes, "You hesitated. What's going through your mind?" And I said, "Well, I'm just wondering, am I still going to owe you money in 5 years? Am I still going to be working 60+ hour work weeks every week in 5 years? Is this really going to change things for the better?" Which was way too much. It was just off the top of my head. And so he pulled back the contract and he said, "All right, well, you and your wife go to lunch and come back afterwards. And, you guys just talk, make sure this is what you want to do. And then we'll sign the contract then." I also had to tell him at the same time, one of our machines caught fire this morning. Now we have to buy a $60,000 machine to replace a $110,000 machine that caught fire. And as we left, before we left the building, my wife turned to me and said, "I can't be your business partner and your life partner anymore. And I don't want to be your business partner anymore." I didn't realize, like, all the unfun stuff that, the stuff I didn't want to do ended up in her office. I recognize that now in hindsight. I wanted to do the cool stuff. I wanted to sell, print shirts, hack my press, figure out how to print cooler things. I mean, this is during the time of, like, the affliction all over prints. So I was trying to figure out all these different creative ways to do all over prints. But that you put that one thing in front of me, like the two most important things in my life are my wife and my son. If you take them out of the equation, I lose all motivation. And in that, I realized, like, I'm missing out on my son growing up. He's raising himself in our showroom, playing with Lego and, iPad time if he has iPad time. He's also driving my employees nuts, riding his big wheel or scooter around the shop, around the press. But, I felt like those were positive things, him growing up around the business. In hindsight, there's this one thing I think about all the time where my son, asked me to play Star Wars on the floor with him one time. It was the last time he ever asked me to. And I just collapsed on the chair. And I was just like, "Not today, buddy. Not right now. I can't." He never asked me again.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. I've never been a quitter. But that's also been a problem, like not knowing when to go to bed, not knowing when to walk away from the fucking press. I hear myself, I hear my dad, I hear every Vietnam vet, Korean vet, World War II vet that I worked for in my past, like, yelling at me.
Pussy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, over the last 20 years of my life, maybe 25 years of my life, I've been slowly taking in these messages of, like, all right, you've got to deal with your emotions. Just putting things in a box and expecting them to stay in that box is not going to work. From my point of view, like, yeah, it's worked forever. I'm just like, I got so many boxes. And other people's points are, well, those boxes have holes. The top has come loose. Things are getting out. And it's going to pollute the tools that you have to handle these mental stressors.
Yeah. I mean, I relate to this so much. Like, I've talked about it. I've hinted at it. I don't know. I've gone into it or danced around it a bunch on the show over the last whatever years. But, I was on life autopilot for a long time. When I started doing this when I was 17, I did all the things, and I didn't realize any of this until I got divorced and whatever else. But it was like, I finished high school. I was in a band. I started a business. And then it was like, okay, the next thing is to get married. And then after you got married, it was get into your own space. And then I moved to Atlanta and I worked for another print shop there, and I grew them. And then I left there and came back to New York. And then the first thing you do is like, okay, well, now I need to buy a home or build a home. So I bought my house, and then I spent years fixing up that house. And then I bought the shop here. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to spend years and years fixing up the shop here. And, oh, well, I'll have kids. And I had kids. And you just get busy doing the things that you're kind of checking boxes of like life, you know, where you're like, well, what's the next progression? What's the next thing you got to do? And again, when you're in it, you don't think about that. You're just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Well, what happened is after all these years of fixing things up or whatever, when you finally get done with them, you're like, well, the fuck do I really want? Like, what am I really doing? Like, I was just doing stuff to be busy. I was just doing life, and I was doing the shop and everything. And at a certain point, I kind of hit a wall where I was like 18 years into this thing. And I was just like, I'm not happy. You know, I don't know if I did the right thing necessarily with my marriage when it came to, again, I was always busy. I was always at the shop. I was traveling a lot. I was doing all these things. And, you know, I just had to step back at some point and be like, I'm not happy. What do I need to do to like change my life? And, you know, some of the people around me weren't happy. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to get a divorce. And then I got a divorce, and that shook my life up pretty hard. And I just gave up basically all my belongings. I got an apartment across the street from the shop so I can like fucking throw a rock and hit my place from here. And I was like beyond just like depressed. And because I didn't know, like, I think ultimately what it was is I didn't know what I wanted as a person, because this shop, this life that I have here at the print shop was my entire identity. Like, it was, I built
100%.
Upstate Merch. This is all I have. Like, I live and breathe like, oh, let's get sales. Let's grow the shop. Let's make a fun space for my friends. Let's do this. But that was it. Like, I had motorcycles and I go to the movies and stuff, but like, that was just like little things that were like an addition to work. But this was my entire everything. And I think what happened is I just got so burnt out on just, I call it go home, go to bed, wait for tomorrow, because that's what it was. It was just like, I get up, I go to the shop, I come home at 7, I make dinner, I put the kids to bed, and then I fucking collapse on the bed and I watch a show for an hour, and then I go to bed and I do it all over again the next day. And then I have live prints on the weekends, or I have, you know, this and that. And it was just like, I kept doing this stuff. And then again, with the depression and whatever after the divorce, I really had to look at myself, and I walked a ton. Like, I was just like, walking is, and me and you were talking kind of at that time of like, yeah, I say hi to people on the trail, because really there's just this fucking sad sack 6'2" giant walking on these trails. And I don't want to be the sad guy. So I'm just like waving at people, saying hi or whatever. And, yeah, dude, I got a real reality check. You know, I got a check with the life side of it, not necessarily the business side, because at that point the business was still doing great. Like, everything was fine. And so I got about a year and a half, 2 years in of that, I started to realize like, oh, like, this is really what I need for myself. This is what I need to do. Like, I got some more hobbies for myself. I got being okay, being alone and whatever. And, you know, Christina helped me with a lot of that stuff, and she's very good at just like listening and giving me advice and working through things together. But then fucking COVID shit and all this other stuff happens too. And you're just like, all right, well, I'll ride this wave. And again, I was in business for, I don't know, at this point, like 15, 16 years or something. And it's like, what is this world of things not being successful? And I've talked about it on the show too, but it's like all those years of growth and success, I never had to think about like shop numbers. I never had to think about all this like SOPs and all this other. It was me and my buddies like printing shirts and having fun. And then when real life hits and things are wonky, it's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, when I closed Airship, I'd never thought about how much I need to make a year. I just never thought about it.
I don't either.
Going fine,
people ask me that, like, you know, you go to the bank or you go to get a car or something. They're like, well, what do you make a year? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I have no idea. Like, I just draw money when I need it. Like, I have no idea what the actual number is. I also have like 10 other projects. Like, I have like other things. I have like, you know, shirt show, and I have rental income, and I have like live printing, and I have all this other stuff. And it's like, I just take the money as it is. I put it in the bank account, or I put cash in my pocket, and I just exist. Like, I never look at a number and I'm like, why would I need to make $200,000 a year? So I have no idea. Like, I just fucking wing it every day. And that was a problem when things actually, when shit hits the fan and you actually have to like figure out where money is to make sure things are going to happen next week, I never had to think about that because there was always stuff there. There was always money there. It was always on the up and up. And
well, plus I used to do a lot of horse trading. So, you know, like if I needed something for a car or a motorcycle, I'd print shirts for that guy and we just do a little swap out. I didn't realize how much when I closed my shop, that would be missing as an income stream. Like, oh, I used to not think twice about getting tires for the truck. I just go print for the tire shop.
Yeah.
We trade out for cost. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, all the gurus, the older guys in this industry, you know, will point out like you need to know your number, you need to know your numbers. But coming back to the things that I feel like are kind of unique about the past several years, I don't know that anybody's that alive has lived through this type of business that can advise us on these things. Like it's day-to-day survival. You don't have another choice. You have to get back up. You know, once you get knocked down, I mean, before we closed Airship, the year before I got knocked down really hard, survived that whole legal troubles. My wife and I got, you know, dusted ourselves off, reemerged as a slightly different business. And then here comes the next thing. It was like it was the thing I prepared the least for. But like yourself, like I was Screenprint John. You know, when I had my first Screenprint shop, I restored Land. I was Landover John. You know, I always thought I was going to be hot shit in the screen print industry, though nobody knew who I was. I mean, I just was proud of what I did. Yeah. I don't know when the times are to step back and reevaluate everything and make hard decisions. But I know now, at least from enough times of getting knocked down, that when you're in that deep, dark depression, when you're really just getting this shit, you know, piled on you, there is another side. It's just, I don't know when that is. I mean, my last really hard bad time.
all I can do is laugh at this stuff because it's like, dude, yeah, for 100%. Like you have no idea like when things are going to turn. And the funny thing is you were just talking about like getting wisdom from the people who have been around. And this was once last week and then once yesterday. You know, the thing I have fortunate, and you too, is like we're so in industry stuff that we have a million people to reach out to when it comes to I want advice or I want to just shoot the shit with somebody, which I think would be the overall theme of like this episode is like you're not alone and there are people to reach out to, there are people to talk to, and you can get through the whole thing. But last week I reached out to a very large shop that, in my opinion, you know, has their shit together and is very smart, very business person or whatever. And I call and I'm like, hey, you know, I know we've been going back and forth a lot and I really just wanted to have a phone call where I don't even have like an overall question or a theme for this. I just kind of want to hear you out and like, I want you to hear me out and tell me what you think about where I'm at, because I've been doing this 20 years. You've been doing this, I don't know, say 35, 40 years or something. You got 20 years on me. Like, have you been where I've been at? Like, do you know where I'm at in my trajectory and whatever? And do you think I should pivot on certain things because I've been in this one space, one market forever? It's like, should I branch out into these other things? And two things. One, when they tell you you're not alone, I'm actually in the similar boat, just on a larger scale. It's settles you to a degree of like, cool, like even they have the same issues that I'm having. But then the depression settles in even harder because you're like, well, it'd almost be better if something was wrong with me. Because if something was wrong with me, then I could fix it and then I could change it tomorrow or change it the next. If someone was just like, you're not doing enough outbound, or you need to cut back on X people and do this, like that's like, okay, this sucks, but like I'll do it and fix it and things will get better. But when everybody around you is like, we're all in the same boat and we have no idea when it's going to turn, then it's harder to swallow because you just don't know what's going to happen. And then again, I had another conversation yesterday with another guy, you know, 14 auto shop or whatever, and talking to him, he's like, yeah, same exact shit. Like just on a much larger thing. And I'm like, dude, I'm so like, I have, 10 or 12 people. Like I couldn't imagine having like 200 people that you have to like worry about when stuff's like this. And it's just, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, and I'll be super vulnerable and honest. Like I had a large breakdown a couple days ago, and it was just like between life and my teenage children and the shop and whatever. Like you talk to somebody and you break down and you say like, I'm the most burnout I've ever been in my entire life. I don't know what to do. I'm doing all the fucking things that people tell you to do. I'm restructuring. We weeded out people at the shop. We, made a new CRM with outbound. I've over the last 6-8 months, like dialed in all my numbers. I know everything down to the fucking cent. And I track every expense now to where I know exactly what's going on tomorrow. Like all of these things are being done the way that they're supposed to be done. And I don't know what to do next other than to just keep going. And I said too, like, hey, like, I'm not going to do anything as far as the mental health stuff. Like, I'm not going to do anything sketchy. I've thought about it. I'm not going to because I don't have it in me. I don't have quit in me. But like, all I can do is, like you said, is just like, I'm just going to fucking struggle through the day. I'm going to do everything I can do to stay alive. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm just going to fucking do it again. Like, I'm just going to keep doing this until hopefully shit changes. Like, that's all I can do. Like, I literally don't know what else to do. There's no other option. It's not like I can be like, oh, I'm just going to stop doing all this, close the doors and go be a carpenter. Like, then it's a whole nother fucking set of struggles that they're probably dealing with the same shit. Like, you just keep doing it and you reach out to people and you get new ideas and you try new stuff. And that's all I could say. Like, I broke down and was just like, I don't fucking know what's what right now, but I'm just going to keep doing it. And I say all that, like, I don't want the listeners to think like, for me specifically here, like it's a fucking doomsday. But like, as an owner, when you have people and responsibilities and you're in charge of like their lives and their pay and their whatever, like it's weighs on you and you don't know what tomorrow looks like, but you're going to make it happen. Like, you're going to move money here. You're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. You're going to do all these things just to make it work. And I've been making it work for fucking 2 years. Like, anybody who's listening to this, whatever, is going to be that guy who's like, yeah, we're fine. We're great. We're so busy right now. Fuck, like, cool. Like, I don't know what market you're in that's doing that, but more often than not, when I talk to other people, they're like, yeah, shit's fucking rough right now and we're getting through it and it is what it is. And I'm proud of the people who are doing awesome, but like for the people who aren't, it's a rough one. And I'm in that category of just making it happen. So I'm a big softie too. And more often than not anymore, it's just a slugfest. It's every day is I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I would hit points where, I was on autopilot, but feeling everything the whole way through, fantasizing about getting hurt. So I'd end up in a hospital and just have like 3 days to be in bed.
I think about that too. I think about like getting a good cold, like not one that super affects me, but one that I have a fever where I'm like, I could knock out like 10 movies on my Netflix queue right now. Like, it would be nice to just be in bed and home and nobody bother me.
Yeah. I think I've always had this phrase in my head: what would somebody smarter than me do? And so I think about trying to identify or picture who that smarter person is and what makes them better than me. And, sometimes you have to do some digging to look for those smart people and find their TED Talks or whatever they are online. And who has time for all of that? Right. But for me, most of the time it comes down to, okay, I've clearly hit a point of less productivity. I'm going to autopilot for too long, and then things are going to get loose. They're going to get away from me, whether it's the cost of doing things or more spoilage or, just making the people around me miserable, which is usually the first thing that happens. There comes a point that I feel like I should have stopped so many times to take a break, maybe taken out a loan against a credit card to go on vacation, or, not just for the point of go on vacation, just to separate myself by time zones, by inability to contact me, to let me heal and come back stronger, because the few times that I've allowed that to happen, I did come back stronger. But another big part of that puzzle is asking for help. And, something I learned, I'm Gen X, so everything you do is not okay. Asking for help, go to a counselor, these things are all things that I was raised to be ashamed of.
I agree.
But I realized there's no handbook for how to be me. There's no handbook for how to raise my kid. There's no handbook for my specific marriage in particular. These are all things that you kind of need to hear somebody else's perspective on for you to be able to see it, where you're not locked into your path that you've been in the whole time. Like I'm constantly trying to get out of my path to look at things. I tell people when they look at their shop looking for inefficiencies, exit your shop and then walk in with the eyes of a customer who's never seen the shop before and see what sticks out to you. Is it dirty? Is it, what are these little things? But I'm constantly trying to find that new set of eyes to look through. And, I never really benefited through counseling until we got to that point where I was hitting a wall with my shop, and it was taking a toll on my relationships within my employees, but also with my wife. And, she was ready to make some big moves, away from the relationship. I mean, that sounds weird. I was trying to figure out a polite way to say it, just to end the relationship. It
make
wasn't
some big
based on
moves. I made some big ass moves too.
But, my problems weren't based on anything like, cheating, drugs, gambling, nothing like that. It was just that I was unpleasant to be around.
Mine weren't either. And I agree. It was just basically like, again, I talked about it before. I'm not trying to derail your conversation, but like we were roommates at some point. Like it was just, we did all the life check boxes. And then when we actually had to sit with each other, we realized like we had different values. We had different opinions. Like if I wasn't at work doing my thing, it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? It was what it was. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't want to derail you, but I wanted to make sense of what you're saying.
For me, the big turning point was, finally, talking to a counselor, specifically a marriage counselor. Around the same time, my son and I were diagnosed as being neurodivergent. And I didn't know what that was or what it meant. But for me growing up, I always felt like I was smarter than other people, but nobody could see that. And that my answers were the most logical and most rational. Why wouldn't you come to my answer? And so within a relationship, if both of us came to the same conclusion, but by different routes, for some reason, I thought that was wrong. I just thought that I'm the most logical. There's a variation. There's one way to have the most logical, rational conclusion to whatever you're trying to sort out. And every girl that I've been involved with had always told me, other people think different ways. But in my mind, I just was suspect of them. They were trying to further their agenda somehow. But then brand new counselor doesn't know us. And I get to talk first, one-on-one. And he goes, well, John, you understand other people think differently and can come to conclusions differently than you did, and they can be right answers. I just needed to hear it from a total stranger that had nothing, that check wasn't written yet.
They had no agenda. Yeah.
And hearing that and believing it was a big turning point for me. But ever since then, and ever since, me closing my company, Airship, was the biggest humbling in my life that I wish I didn't have to go through. But I've seen people that are getting to the points that I'm at, and I don't know how they're going to avoid one of those big humblings. But going from that, I've always tried to, despite how visible I am on social media now, like push down ego, try to evaluate decisions and decide, is ego a factor in this? What is the end result, and what are the positive results from this? And does it serve something that I'm not quite aware of? Am I serving my own ego in this? That may not be the most productive use of my time. I may be wasting other people's time and losing their mental buy-in, their psychological buy-in. So, I'm not a counselor by any stretch. I haven't been to enough counselors to even pretend to be one. I'm happy to hear people's problems, but I don't have the answers any more than they do, other than I can see that a lot of people over the past several years are getting to this breaking point that maybe they just need to go ahead and break in a controlled situation, which would be with a counselor or some sort of I have a friend that went to actually I have several friends that have gone to psilocybin camps, MDMA camps. I haven't done that.
Do ayahuasca in the desert.
I guess the problem, that one is always suspicious. Like everybody who's ever done ayahuasca left an asshole and came back an asshole. It's always like these
They're more
guys
enlightened asshole.
Yeah, they're more in connection with their asshole.
Fucking Alan from Proper said something to me once, was inviting me or something to go do like ayahuasca in Mexico or something or whatever. And he's like, oh, you 100% are going to throw up a lot and you're going to end up shitting in a bucket, but like you'll come out a different person. I was like, dude, none of that sounds like something I want to do. Like, even if I was to discover myself, I don't want to be with a group of people shitting in a bucket and just throwing up all over the place. Like, none of this sounds good.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do some sort of sleepaway camp with the like a, I don't know, psychological mental health sleepaway camp. Yeah. But I think one, I wanted to be with total strangers, if it has to be a group setting. And two, I don't know. I don't know that I'm ready to open that box and go through all that shit. Like, there's never a good time. Like, there's no right time. Like, okay, things are going well. Maybe I should go deal with all that psychological bullshit I've been carrying around.
To that point, though, the reason, again, I've always been a people pleaser my whole life. That's kind of been my main issue. And I don't know if I ever would have gotten out of the marriage unless something had stopped me. Or I don't want to knock my marriage, but like, that point in my life, I wouldn't have changed anything unless something else happened. And what started to happen was I never talked about feelings. I was always told, like, feelings aren't for you. Like, just be the man, do your thing, like, go to work, go home, do the chores, whatever it is you're going to do. I never talked about feelings. I don't ever like to talk about feelings. I don't like to share that kind of thing. And I got to a point where I was on a work trip. I think I went to like CM&R or something, and I went to the hotel that night. I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. I couldn't sleep. It was like 2 a.m. I was sweating bullets. I fucking was breathing funny. I was like, I'm gonna die here. Like, whatever. And then I didn't know what it was. I think I just got so exhausted I like passed out at some point. And even to that credit of like, don't be a pussy, like, fuck, keep going. I didn't like call 911. I was just like, I'm just gonna lay here until I either die or it goes away. I ended up just passing out or going to sleep. And then the next night it happened again. And then I just kind of breathed through it and whatever. And then a couple days later it happened again. And then I found out that I was just having nightly panic attacks. Yeah. And I was like, and before that, I thought, again, this is super ignorant of me, I know, and I apologize to people that are listening, but like, I always thought the like, mental or the illness or mental illness and like, therapy and all this other stuff was for people who just didn't have their shit together. And I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just complaining. You're coming up with an excuse. It's a crutch, whatever. And what I found out is I was depressed and I was suppressing all my feelings. And I was just, my body's the one that told me you need to fucking change. Like, you need to do something differently. Because if I wasn't having all those panic attacks, I'd probably be in the same spot. I would just keep doing it. I would just keep suppressing it. And I would just do the whole thing. But my body was literally like freaking the fuck out. And it was like, you need to do something. And once I started addressing that stuff and I started trying therapy, I say trying because I tried a few times and I didn't have any success with it at all. I just started like looking up stuff on my own and like talking to more people about feelings and feeling comfortable breaking down in front of friends and having conversations and having them be like, nah, dude, like, we got you. You can say whatever you want to say. You can take a break. It's okay for you to not be 100% uppity in this all the time. And it fucking changed my life. Like, panic attacks. And you were saying, like, you see these people about to hit this wall or about to have this problem. And it's like, as much as it sucked ass, it needed to happen. Like, my life is better. Like, my life is better now for the last years of struggle. And to be shitty about it again, I'm in the middle of it, but like, having that happen to me right before this is happening makes me also optimistic, because if you take that step back, like you were saying, like, leave your business and walk in and see what's dirty or see what's whatever, it's the same thing. Like if I could step back now, I look and I'm like, you know what I've done during this time is I've weeded out the bad people at my shop. I've made CRMs of all of our best clients and found ways to reach out to them better. I have a full outbound system that we can use. I know all of my numbers. I know all these things. I have the most efficient technology in my shop to automate and be the best that we can be. So you know what? Like as soon as say the faucet comes back on, I'm fucking ready, dude. Like I am like going to be the most lean, mean fighting machine I've ever been when it comes to the shop. And also my personal life, like me going through that whole struggle with my personal stuff and the divorce and whatever, like now I'm okay talking. I'm on a fucking podcast right now where thousands of people are going to hear what I'm fucking saying. Like you talking about like ego, like my skin crawls almost after every episode where I'm like, I shared too much. I should have shut the fuck up. I sound like a fucking giant Nance. Like every time now where I'm trying to share and be vulnerable because I know that there's people out there that are going through the same fucking thing. They don't want to say it publicly or they don't want to talk about it or whatever. And like, I'm trying to talk about it and be as honest as possible, but it comes at a price of like, fuck, now everybody knows. Like everybody knows my problems now. But
and I started that Facebook group, Screenprinter Meltdown. I'm just waiting. You know, there's going to be somebody that goes on there just to make fun of somebody. You know, and I'm a very sarcastic person. I guess I like mean humor because that's the way I was raised.
Oh, me too.
I've been growing
the worst.
Yeah, but I'm just, you know, a lot of people have been thankful that I've brought up some of these things and that, you know, started the Facebook group. But at the same time, I'm hearing that like, man, I'm really glad that they connected with you, but it's only a matter of time before somebody takes a great big steaming shit on it. But I think the only thing that I can offer people from my perspective of being in the industry for too long, for owning a couple shops. I mean, I owned other shops beside the screen print shop. I owned a skateboard shop, indoor skate park. I have to look back when things look terrible at all the things that I got through, all the times that I got knocked down and dusted myself and got back up. I mean, there's a couple who I'd love to, you know, call out now by name, but I'd rather have their permission. But there's friends of ours that we've watched get knocked down a couple times and just got back up like they just had no other choice, and you know, just started rebuilding from scratch again. And it's as impossible as it feels like to stop and restart, to knock everything down and start rebuilding it from the bottom again. It's possible. It just may be the wrong time. You may not have the funding for it. I don't know. I don't know the answer on that. But
to your point, though, those people, I knew exactly who you're talking about when you started saying that. But it's like, I know it sucks for them and I feel bad for all the bad stuff that happened, but they are so fucking prepared now for basically anything. Like, again, like all this hardship now hardens you and teaches you what to do and what not to do, to where, you know, if everything goes to normal again, like they're going to be the best they've ever been. If they decide to do a full on shop again, they're going to know, don't go down that fucking road. Like,
yeah,
like, and maybe it'll ride off into the sunset and things will be awesome. And that's what I'm trying to say with all of this. And I feel like for the past 45 minutes or whatever, we've talked about sadness and bad shit and whatever, but like, I think there's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of positivity. And that's something I've been kind of preaching since January on this show, is like, not that I want to have a New Year's resolution, but I think like my only way to, when I say I don't know what to do next, I don't know what else I can do that I'm not already doing. Well, the only thing I can do on top of all of that is just try to find the positive in every situation. Like, try to talk about this stuff, but then be also like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, we got this. Like, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to make this work. We're going to, whatever. You know what? We don't have enough work for tomorrow. You know what's positive? Let's just play fucking Gears of War, all of us in the office tomorrow. Like, let's find something to do that's positive, or let's go shoot hoops, or let's whatever. Like, who gives a shit? So yeah, I mean, what did you do? So say all that stuff happened to you and whatever, like, what was your pivot to make you find a new life and be happy and get that work-life balance or whatever that you didn't have before?
Well, the key thing was I wanted to keep my relationship together, and I wanted to keep my son in the house they grew up in. That became the mantra every day. And the main mantra became keep my son in this house no matter what. We ended up renting out our apartment over the garage that saved us, that paid for most of our mortgage. But at one point, I quit. I joked that I quit screen printing 6 times. And so this was the 6th time I quit screen printing. And I was just like, I don't want to go back. There's just every other business seems to make more sense. Had I opened a body shop, I'd be making money hand over fist. If I would have had the amount of money that I put into these machines into a different industry, I should be doing really well, and not growing stomach ulcers all the time. But so when I closed Airship, I was getting ready to sell it to another company. And then I decided I was still like full of ego when I saw how they're trying to lay it out, and they weren't making room for you to walk around the machines. Like, they just didn't understand the flow of production. They were just trying to put things into little blocks on a spreadsheet. I kind of threw my hands up like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm out of here with my stuff. I'm just going to go sell it all. And it took me all summer to sell it all. Living off my wife's company at the time. She had started a small business and we were living off of that. But at one point I was just lost, and I was out. My motorcycle was my therapy all the time. And I don't have that as a therapy currently, but I was out for a motorcycle ride, and I was stopped in traffic watching them build a bridge, and they're going to let traffic through as they drop these pieces in place. And this guy's operating a crane. I'm like, man, that looks so fucking awesome. Like, I'm really good at driving forklifts. I've had a lot of forklifts in my life. Like, how do you get to be a crane operator? It must be like a father-son thing. Like, I just didn't know how you become a crane operator. Then the next day, riding a motorcycle on the same road, and a excavation company had a big banner that said machine operators wanted. And so I pull up and I take off my motorcycle vest that has like my club patch on it, roll it up, put it in the back, my side bag. So there's no offensive things showing up on me. Yeah. And I walked in and I told him, I was like, hey, I saw your banner out there. I don't have a CDL or any kind of training, but my name's John Magee. I can drive anything. That was like my joke for years and years. But this time I said it, like, not even believing. He was like, my name's John Magee and I can drive anything. And the one was like, okay. Do you have any DUIs? Like, no. It's like, are you insurable? Like, I think so. It's like, would you mind if I ran your driver's license? So she runs my driver's license, comes back. She's like, okay, we can insure you. We'll teach you to do whatever we can here, which started out as this good path towards like driving semi trucks and driving tractors, which I did. I drove tractors, but I ended up, because I was a mechanical, fixing a lot of times. So I ended up in the shop fixing things, going out to the field, fixing tractors. And then when those things weren't available, I was literally shoveling rocks in my 40s with the undocumented workers, with the 24-year-old undocumented worker telling me what to do. And I remember this one guy, he was too short for the military. He's really mad about it. And he ended up doing what I was doing, along with all these like roughnecks from up north. Like, there was another like downswing in oil. So all these roughnecks from up north had come back where they're paying like crazy, like $1,000 a month on their crazy truck. And now they had to move in their parents and just eat shit like. And so this guy turns to me and goes, it's like, I've seen your house. Like, how's it feel, taking orders from a, undocumented immigrant that's 24 years old, half your age? I'm like, shut up, dude. Just shovel your fucking rock. And I'm, up in the mountains working. I don't know if you ever shoveled big rock. It doesn't want to go in your shovel. Like, it just wants to come out of the top.
It doesn't.
That beat me down, and I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. It was just, don't let my son know how far I've fallen. Use coupons for Christmas. I was just getting the cheapest shit at Michael's. Like, he got a lot of models that year because they were like 2 for 1, stuff we never even got around to finishing. But it was more for just put on the theatrics of Christmas is fine, mom and dad are fine, everything's going to be fine. But I didn't believe it. I just knew that I've been knocked down so many times before. And then my other thing that I live off of, and this sounds so weird, I think about how Native Americans must have felt when they were being colonized. I think about being a Jewish person during World War II, during the Holocaust, and thinking there's no possible way the world's going to get better. There's no light at the end of the tunnel of this. They're killing people by the millions. Yet there is. Yet, 70s, 80s, 90s, the people who survived that, they were still around, got to see some positives. So I just have to cling on to things that other people have done. Because, at that time, if you're super depressed, you don't want to read a book. I mean, I used to read 3 books at a time. You can find inspirational things in people's autobiographies. I couldn't get myself through that. I was having a hard time enjoying music. I have to listen to music every day or else I started getting weird. But I was just get in the truck, eat oatmeal as I'm driving the truck, get to work, get through hour by hour, break by break. I mean, there was times where work up the mountains where you could work for 20 minutes and you got in the truck and warmed up for 15 minutes and then 20 minutes and 15 minutes. And I'm having to, do this with people that I never want to see again. I'm not Facebook friends with anybody in that part of my life at all. I never wanted to see them again. There were some good people in there, but just the things that these people were accepting as normal, I didn't want for myself. And again, so looking back at all the times that I've stood back up and kind of just leaned into the wind, what do I not want? I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my wife. I don't want my son to have anything less than what I envisioned for him. I don't care what happens to me. So my pivot finally came when I was realizing that I was at my worst. I was doing like motorcycle tricks and stuff, that were just dangerous. I was riding like a maniac, like I didn't care if I died or not. And then I was at a couple of jobs. Yeah, I was at a couple of job sites where I almost got killed. And, one of them was we're digging these old conduits that weren't supposed to have power running through them. They were just put there in the 70s that eventually they were going to add power. So we're taking that all out of this transformer station. And I can't see in there. It's dark. The sun's in my eyes. And I'm just guiding the excavator into pulling these conduits out. And it's live. I think it was like 24,000 kV, something crazy. I'm not good with numbers.
Something that would make
but
you
it was
explode.
live. Seconds away from getting killed. And this kept happening over and over again. And something my wife said, I don't know what it was, but something made me kind of snap out of it where I was like, God, why do I think I'm worth less now than I did 2 years ago when I thought I was hot shit in screen printing? I want to be the new Lon Winters, I want to be the young version of that guy. So I reached out to Charlie Taubleib, and I called him, asked him to meet for lunch. We're near his house on this one construction site. We meet up for tacos. And he goes, all right, so what's on your mind? I was like, all right, so you're getting older. And this is like 11 or 12 years ago. I'm like, do you need like a roadie to come out with you on the road? Because you're still traveling the world, doing your courses, you're doing consultations. Do you need a roadie? And I was like, I'm worried that you're going to die in a hotel. That's what I said to him. And he said to me back, he goes, I know I'm going to die in a hotel. I've always been okay with that. And he said, but are you ready to get your head out of your ass? And I was like, okay. What do you got for me? And he said, all right, Rutland's looking for a salesperson. Call this number, ask for this guy. And so the next day, sitting in a road grader, I did my first interview with Rutland, like with all these other heavy equipment all around me, making noise. And I'm almost kind of shouting in the phone to arrange this long process of getting hired. It took like, I think 2 months before they made a decision. But the getting back up on my feet was that. I mean, I even had to quit doing construction and work plumbing for the 2 months that I was being interviewed for a friend who's just basically hooking me up to hook me up to get through that part of, life. And then I remember standing in Portland Airport, and everybody makes a big deal about the carpet in the airport at PDX. And I took a picture of my feet on the carpet, and then I posted it. I'm back on my feet.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you were saying before, like you were kind of, going through all this stuff, and you were working all these other companies, and you had to go dig rocks and whatever, but like you were also being positive to a degree. Like you knew that you didn't want to be there. You were telling people to fuck off that told you that you were there, and you were just trying to get through it. And you had mentioned, like, if you're just in this negative loop, then you're not going to be motivated to do anything. You're just going to go to the thing, you're going to do it, and you're going to leave, and you're not going to care and whatever. Like I have such a hard time, like even last year, like being in a shit spot or thinking in a negative mindset about how this sucks or this is bad or whatever. Like I never felt motivated to like do the things I was supposed to do. I didn't feel motivated to start a new project. I didn't feel motivated to do this next task that I was supposed to do, or go do something fun. Like I just didn't have it in me. I was just like, I was like a sad sack fucking Eeyore. And I feel like once I started thinking of the positives and things, now I feel like excited to try new things. I feel excited to build that next thing. And I don't know, man, like you kind of got yourself out of that hole and you went back to your roots of Charlie and you were like, hey, like I want to go back to this thing. I have this knowledge here. I'm worth something here. Like, not to say you weren't worth to whoever fucking scooping up rocks, but like,
that's the point though, real quick. Outside of screen printing, I was worth nothing. Nobody wanted to hire somebody that owned multiple businesses. That's not a person you want to hire for most things. I mean, there was other things I did in that meantime, like I sold motorcycles. I worked for like a total scam operation that was selling buildings that I've never seen ever, you know?
Yeah.
But it was, you know, if you looked at my Instagram, it looked like I was making the best of things, but I was definitely on the ground, you know, getting kicked. But I think the main thing was I just can't accept giving up as much as I need to break down. And I couldn't separate the two. To me, breaking down was the same as giving up. And so my panic attacks or anxiety attacks, they wouldn't be connected to a thing that happened. And it goes back to that idea of the box that you're pushing things down into has holes. And that's not I'm borrowing that from somebody else, but it's got holes, things are leaking out of it. I was just watching TV with my family. We're watching Doctor Who. It was like our Saturday morning rituals, watch Doctor Who together. And I couldn't breathe. And I was just like I wanted to grab the air and push it to my mouth. And I went outside and I was like, there's no air in the house. My wife followed me out. I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, there's no air out here. Like, you don't feel this? Like, what is going on? Like, is there an algae bloom? What happened? Like, I can't fucking breathe. And my wife is like, lay down on the floor. I'm going to get you something. And she gave me a Valium, and like eventually, like it, you know, I could breathe again. But I didn't know what that was, and when she told me what it was, I didn't believe it. Like, no, I don't have anxiety attacks. John Joseph Magee IV is not allowed to have anxiety attacks. You know, like you're just supposed to battle and take shit. You just take. And my dad literally taught me that you just take shit. Once you're responsible for a family, and then eventually becomes a business and the employees in it, you just take shit and you don't have a choice. And I never figured out I still haven't figured out the right balance of like knowing when I need to say stop. I've had enough shit. I need a break. And I don't know how to do that politely, but I know it's something I have to work on. It's just like yoga. I still won't do yoga because I feel like it's too effeminate. Though I know I need to do it.
I just don't want to fart in front of people. Because you just have to rip. I don't want to be put in a weird pose where I have to rip ass in front of people.
And I don't want to work with anybody. I want to work out in front of anybody. I do it in my hotel room when I do it. I did my my workouts today. But yeah, I'm extremely private, and apparently that's bad. I'm what people used to call that's bad.
It's all fucking negative on both sides. Like, you just got to do whatever you feel comfortable doing. You got to just be you. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I don't necessarily work out. Like, I like walking. I like hiking. I like being outside. Mm-hmm. Like, if I had my choice, I live in upstate New York, so I have 6 months of like niceness and I have 6 months of like inside. And it's like right now when it's starting to warm up and like lawn work is becoming a thing, it's my favorite thing ever. All I want to do is go right now and like chop down trees or play with my lawn or like be outside, shovel shit, whatever. I just want to be outside. But the funny thing is like life hack wise, you were talking about feeling to a point of like breakdown or whatever. One thing that I've learned that, because I, like you said, is this man thing of you have to be tough and you have to whatever. One thing I've learned over the last couple of years is like, just cry. Like, it's so rewarding to have a fucking gross big man cry. And it's because when it's over, you feel better. Like, there's times where I'm on edge. I will make myself cry where I'm like, I'm just going to go in my car. I'm going to go for a drive and I'll just be that fucking weirdo driving, just bawling. And then when I'm done, I'm like, you know what? Fuck, I feel great now. Like, this is like post-tier clarity stuff going on here. Like, I am good.
Personal goal for me. Like, I can get choked up. I can get teary-eyed, and I didn't used to before. I never used to have that at all. But if a friend dies, things like that, like I hit this weird place where I can't do that. And I still, like, I've never out and out cried. When my dog died recently, maybe, but it wasn't even that. It's like me, like I can't not try to hold it in. I can't not try to push through it. It's just bad wiring. from a lifetime of weird messages. I mean, I'm convinced I do need a big breakdown. I'm just not ready for it. And that's been my number one hesitation about
Next time
any
I
kind
see
of
you,
like.
it was just funny because like last week I went and saw Fight Club in the theater because it was back out in Regal for a day. And it was funny because I was in that mindset of like feeling away. And then one of my favorite parts is like Edward Norton starts going to meetings and he goes in and he meets Bitch Tits, which is Meatloaf, which Meatloaf is like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like his albums are great. And, he just says, Cornelius, bring it in and like just let it go or whatever. And he fucking just like starts crying so hard in his tits and then like leaves like his, tears and everything all over his shirt. And I was just like, that's what I'm going to do to you next time. I will be your bitch tits. I'm just going to pull you in and I'm just going to say, John, let it go. And I'm just going to let you soak the front of my shirt. We'll just get a good cry in. Yeah, I don't know. It's like to be, I don't know, going on this tangent about whatever. And I've over these years of finally being a certain way, me and my best friends that are here at the shop, like we're all in the same life spot because we're around the same age and whatever. I've also discovered like these are my best friends. I hang out with them more than I hang out with anybody. I'm with them, all day at work, and then we hang out after work and all these other things. And I realized like over maybe the last 5 years, we've gotten way closer than we ever have because we talk about feelings now, which, when I got divorced and, other people got divorced and whatever else, it was like, we just started opening up about this stuff. And, I fucking gave a hard cry in front of fucking Bill not that long ago. It was just like, this is where I'm at. And you're just like, again, they're very open and supportive. And I think that's what I've learned. Like, I know you're talking about not being able to, but I don't want to either. Like, it's not my fucking goal. It's not my goal to like get sappy or like have this deep conversation with somebody. I feel more now like I can do so. Like if I start the conversation and it keeps going, I get to a point where I'm like, oh, this is okay. And they have opinions and they tell you, oh, this happened to me. And they feel better. And they're like, no matter what happens, like I got you, like all these things. And it's like, we never used to do that. We used to just like fucking punch each other and be like, hey, quit being a fucking whatever or whatever. And now I can say anything to any of these people. And they're like, yeah, I get it. Like, I'll support you, like whatever we need. And I'm not just saying it's always me, like them too. But I don't know. I think all in all with all of this it's amazing that you started this Facebook group. I'm glad that you started making these posts and talking about it because more often than not, there's a lot of people who just don't feel comfortable. They're not at that big cry spot where they don't know who to reach out to. They don't know who to talk to, and they need a support network to know that they're okay and that we'll get through this and whatever. What I don't like to see happen is I don't like to find out that shops that I know or people that I thought were doing great just all of a sudden close, or something bad happens to them, or they don't exist anymore or anything like that. Like, I don't want to see that. What I want to see is everybody get through this and, make it work and whatever. And again, like I just spilled my guts about a bunch of stuff that's going on with me, but like, I'm in a good spot. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'll be fine. Like, business is happening. We're printing awesome shirts still. We're doing what we're doing. We're making it through. It's just, this is the reality. This is the behind the curtain stuff. This is the stuff that is just how it is. Like, not everybody's fucking strong and just with it all day and has all of their shit figured out. It's the reality is that everybody has a struggle, and I just want people to know that it's okay. Like, there's other people out there doing the same thing, and there's support networks, and there's me and John, and there's now apparently there's a goal to get John to do a fucking gross man cry, which is my new life mission.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so psyched now.
even Zach, to be honest, like, we've always seen each other at shows or talked or whatever, and he's always like, he's like a Nick Wood or something where he's like a hype man in most cases. And I had him on the show recently, and we talked about his life and what's going on with him. And there's these wild card people like Zach where, they're a good dude doing their thing. And I got a text. I don't remember what it was. It was like a fucking 11 p.m. or something the other night where he just texted me out of nowhere. And he's like, dude, I'm sitting here at this wedding and I was just thinking about you and thinking about, all the good that you're doing and this and that. And he's like, I just wanted to say thanks and like, keep doing what you're doing. And it's like, you don't understand like how impactful that is. Like I've been trying to do that. I even downloaded an app on my phone to like put in all these people that like, I just want to constantly like make sure I remind myself to reach out to and just be like, how you doing? Like, how's things? Because you don't know where they are in that day. You don't know how they're feeling. You don't know whatever. But when someone gets a random text message or something that just says like you matter, I'm glad you exist. Like, thanks for doing what you're doing. Like, it just instantly makes you be like, okay, like no matter what's happening, I'm fine. Like things are good tomorrow. But when you're sitting by yourself and you're lonely and nobody's talking to you or nobody's saying anything, that's when shit gets dark and you're like, nobody gives a fuck. Why am I even doing this? Whatever. Like, so I encourage more conversation and more whatever, but
it's like we froze.
Do you have any more things that you want to talk about on that? Because I'd like to maybe dive into a little bit of, we can shake this off and be men again and talk about maybe some things shops could be doing in this time to make themselves better, make themselves be able to get through this. Are you there? Are you frozen? What happened? Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If there's anything on your mind, if there's anything you want to share about this episode, or if you have any insights, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you could like and subscribe, it would do wonders for this channel. It helps more printers find out about us. So if you could do that for me, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Also, if you want to leave a comment and leave the word print at the end of it, I will pick a random person and send out some free shirt show swag. Go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys later. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Dude, I went through this whole thing, like talking about whatever, and then I looked at John for an answer, and you were sitting so still listening. I was like, I thought you were fucking with me. Like, you were just totally solid for like 3 minutes. I was like, hello, like, whatever. It was just totally solid. I was like, fuck. So I don't know how long I talked before I cut out. Or what I said.
Cut out, man.
I more was just saying, like, do you have anything that you want to add that's kind of on top of this, maybe something shops should be doing right now, or anything that you're hearing in chatter from other people that are kind of ways to look for this, or ways to keep your shop in okay order? I mean, we talked a little bit about like, look at your numbers, know your numbers, maybe look at your staffing, try to find ways to save money here and there. Is there anything else you can think of that maybe people should really start looking into?
The thing that's top of mind recently, just because I'm seeing it every couple shops, every third shop I visit, it seems like somebody has reached that point where they're usually like in a manic, maybe not episode, but just moving it at a manic speed. Like something really is chasing them, and they're not hearing from their employees that they're acting differently. That's the one thing that's been consistent, is that I'll talk to whoever the person is that's getting close to that point of hitting a wall. And when they walk away, there's something I can either see with the employees either volunteer something, or I can ask a question, about like, how's the general mood here? Like, how are things here generally? Do you guys feel like you're moving efficiently? Do you feel like there's communication that's efficient? And then something in there reveals that they're concerned too. So as the owner, or the manager, whatever position you're in, it's hard to stop and listen to people. But I guess that's what you've got to be open to. Because I mean, people all my life have been trying to stop me and make me listen to the things they've observed about me. And it took me decades before I would even entertain listening to somebody else.
I have a point there in that I didn't think of before, that my friends kind of brought to my attention and said that I needed to fucking change, which was when I got stressed out and when I got like really in the zone and worried about work and whatever else. What I was doing is I was going in my office and I was shutting the door.
Yeah.
Or I was just going in my office, and then during lunch or during time of the day where we would take breaks or whatever, like I would just stay in my office and they would like play basketball, or during lunch, they would all sit together on the couch and watch TV or watch videos or whatever. And I would just sit in my office and I would like get my own lunch, come back in my office, shut my door.
I did.
And like my door is like right next to the fucking office, like where they all sit and hang out. And I would just like seclude myself. And what ended up happening is by not voicing anything to my staff, they just always thought I was pissed off. Like they just assumed like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like Dylan must be mad at me because I'm not, doing the right thing or whatever. And the reality is it has nothing to do with them at all. Like I'm just in a lockdown mode of, I got to figure this out. I got to keep going. I gotta whatever. And what I was doing is I was creating this imbalance in the shop of culture. And I was just like, nope, I'm just going to do my thing and put my headphones on. I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm just going to work. But in reality, what changed and what made everything better was I shook that off and was like, again, the positivity thing of, no, during lunch, I'll go out and I'll play basketball, or during lunch, I'll go out and I'll sit with them and we'll watch videos or we'll eat together or whatever. And then I noticed like culture and camaraderie and everything went up because we were all like in it together again and we were whatever. And even in those moments, I could have said something, be like, oh yeah, work's been whatever, or it's been crickets all week or whatever. We'd all laugh or make a joke and then be like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. But if I wouldn't have said anything and I would have just stayed in my office, it created this whole thing of, sadness and people thinking things were doom and gloom when they weren't necessarily. But I was in that business owner mode of, I'm not going to tell anybody everything. I'm just going to lock myself in my office.
Well, I did the exact same thing, but it was more to keep the distractions away. So either I was telling myself so I could concentrate on work, but then I would start doing something the graphic design department could do. Like I would go through and just something where I could tune out and just be busy with my hands and, draw, a logo out, just do some of the work myself. But exactly to your point, I was cutting off communication with them and I wasn't participating in my shop's culture anymore, and it would evolve without me. But that's been another pattern that I've been seeing here recently is people talking about they left a shop because the boss or the owner was no longer accessible because he started closing his door. I mean, I just heard that 2 weeks ago. And I've heard that several times over the past like 2.5 years. I think that's just a general indicator that something needs to be tuned a little bit better. If you start cutting yourself off from your shop, you're no longer a part of the culture. And now you're the man, essentially instead of a team member or the head of the team. That's something else I wish. I mean, there's so many things I wish I could go back and do over again. I was telling Christina, like the first 20 years after high school, I still had nightmares that I had to go back to high school for some reason. I would be that age. Every week, this has been for years. I mean, well over 10 or 12 years. My skate shop or my screen print shop is there waiting for me. And I show up to the space, everything's there. There's something weird. There's a weird stressor going on, but I've got to get the presses up and running or get the team on board with something. Like I keep having these nightmares about these businesses that I've had in the past. But as I've worked in this position for the past 10 years, there's always a point each week where I kind of like go through the daydream. I'm returning the rental car, but during that time, I'm going through the daydream of, okay, if I open up my shop tomorrow, here's what I do differently on this side. And it's never the same thing. I could be thinking about production or the shop culture or how to incentivize people or how to treat people better. I always have this fantasy of going back and redoing my shop in a better way with a better mind, a straighter head. But that would be insane. So, why would I do that again?
I agree. There's a lot of things like that. I try to tell my kids, like, I think about high school and stuff and where they're at. I'm like, you know what? If I would have just sat down and like got my shit done, I probably would have been better off. But I was too busy going to shows and fucking around, doing stupid stuff and dumpster diving and everything else to not care. But yeah, I think it's really important to like stay involved and stay part of everything and kind of keep. You don't have to tell everybody in your shop exactly what's going on, but you need to have some key people aware of what's happening so that they'll help you. Like more often than not, they'll get on board. Just like if you had a large order and you were like, hey guys, we got a rally, we got a big order coming up. Like they feel just as excited to be part of the big game as you are in that scenario. It's the same when things aren't that great, like letting them know, and then they can rally too and be like, well, I also found a way where we can do this without using X amount of ink, or we can not have to buy this or get this thing or whatever. Like they'll find ways to like save you money, or, oh, well, we didn't need, and like booking out the schedule for whatever. It's like, oh, well, I gave us a day off this week and I moved stuff around so that you don't have an extra day of payroll or whatever it is, like stuff like that, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's helpful. Thank you. So I think just being open and honest about all those things is very important. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's real. I don't know what's going on in the world, but I do feel like a lot of us need to just rally together and talk to each other about stuff, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it would be cool to, I mean, well, I was going to say it'd be cool to have an event at Long Beach where people get together. What are you supposed to do? Get there and have like a,
cry session on the beach,
a cry circle or something. And I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't know. These are things that I've never figured out with myself. I mean, I don't have a friend group anymore, not locally to where I'm at. My friends are now scattered all over this industry or scattered around the world. In my town, in my county, I don't have any friends. And that, like, I'm becoming that stereotype of the guy in his 50s that doesn't have friends. He hangs out with his wife all the time. I'm happy hanging out with my wife all the time. But yeah, I mean, I do recognize there's like an unhealthy balance in my life right now. I'm going through something right now. I don't know exactly what it is. I just see the indicators. I'm seeing all the landmarks of like, I'm going through something. Like, can I avoid like hitting a wall and having to deal with this? Do I just need to hold the steering wheel tighter and get through this? I don't know. So I'm not the person for advice on that stuff, but side question. Okay.
No, go ahead.
My side question was going to be for when you and your team have to knock out a ton of shirts, or say it's like a hot market thing. What is the music you listen to? Because mine's kind of embarrassing and funny.
We usually pick embarrassing and funny things. I think that's half the fun. Like Jackie at the end of the dryer laughs hysterically every time. There's like a 40-hour loop of Mortal Kombat that she just always puts on as her pick. And it's just fucking Mortal Kombat, like ding, 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 Mortal Kombat, like over and over and over again for her entire pick. And it's hilarious, but it's just like super long. But yeah, we usually pick stuff that's just like lifts the mood. Like, yeah, you can pick like, I don't know, whatever some of us are into or whatever, but it's usually, you see the mood boost so much higher when it's like, like Shrek soundtrack or Celine Dion or, like 90s rock radio or something. And it's like just stuff that just everybody knows the songs. It's not what they would normally listen to, but we can all like scream and shout and yell across the room or something stupid. But that's usually what's played in the shop. I feel like is just stuff to like mood boost, not necessarily like, oh, you hear that new Turnstile album? Let's just listen to it on repeat. Like that's not usually what's happening here. It's just stuff to make fun of each other.
That was our day to day was, have you heard this new album? And then this guy, Jay Olenek, I would say this guy, good friend of mine, one of my head printers, Jay Olenek, we had similar taste in like hardcore and post-hardcore, but he's of a younger generation. So then he would throw in like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, songs in the mix. And that was fun. But when we really had to just go at it, like especially like overnight printing, Girl Talk, both the albums end to end and just repeat. It's just a steady all the way through. There's enough references for everybody else. Like I think anybody that worked for me, if they hear any song that was sampled in one of those Girl Talk albums, they're going to finish with whatever he mixed into next. But even to this day, like sometimes if we've got to get a lot of work done around the house, we actually have it on vinyl now. We'll throw that on. But when I'm by myself, I tend to listen to sleep, like really doomy, slow stuff, because it just kind of somehow relaxes my mind and I'm able to concentrate and not think about, there's not really any words, not a lot of lyrics there. I don't have to think about what's going on in the music, and I can just kind of zone into what I'm doing a little bit more actively.
It's funny you say that because I was listening to an interview recently where Andy from Every Time I Die was talking about the new band that he's in. And what he described it was, he's like, our shows and our music is adult. He just kept saying adult, like it's more mature, because Every Time I Die was very much like, heavy and fast and whatever. And it was very like get involved and stage dive and all this dancing and whatever else. But like, there's this like doom metal stuff where it's like, nah, like the vibe for playing this is like chilling back in a darker room in your like sofa chair.
Meditation.
Like hearing like, right. It's just like chill adult, like this is what I'm listening to when I'm meditating or I'm like doing work at my computer. Like, he's like, I don't see people at our shows moving around. He's like, it's just a bunch of faces in the room, just like watching us play or like drinking a beer or whatever. And I'm like, I totally get that. I fully get the adult. What he meant by adult is like, I want to go watch the show at 7 p.m. I want to be home by 9.
Yeah.
I just want to be like, yeah, I got to see them finally. Sweet. And I went home and it's just chill vibes. It's whatever. It's not doing fucking spinning back kicks in a crowd.
Yeah.
It's just fucking doom metal. Yeah, I love that stuff too. I'm into so much like random shit now that I never thought I would have. You know, me and Christina share a lot of music back and forth, and some of the stuff people are like, I didn't understand. I don't know why you listen to that. That's weird. I don't know. It's all over the place for me right now. Like, we just went and saw The Midnight, which is like one of my favorite bands like recently, but that's a whole different vibe. That's like synthy, you know, 80s throwback kind of rock stuff. And then I also was listening to Pipe Bomb earlier, and it's like that's the complete opposite. Like, it's just it depends on what mood I'm in. And you know, I was listening to like Alistair at home with my daughter yesterday, and that was like old pop punk stuff, or I'll listen to Meatloaf. Like, I know specifically when I do yard work and when I build anything, it's radio rock for sure. Like, for me, it was like 99.1 The Whale. It's what I grew up in. It's what you hear at every construction site or every, like, you know, like a trucker or whatever. It's always like, oh, Pearl Jam's on, and then, you know, Nirvana's on, and then John Mellencamp's on, or, you know, it's just like this loop of like that era. I can never get it out of my head. Yeah, I just have like I have a playlist on my phone that's just called like Good Rock or whatever. And it's just like, that's just what it is. It's just basic bitch rock and roll radio stuff. So I don't know. I'm all over the place with it, but it's the enjoyment. It depends on what mood I'm in. And, you know, I also try to learn songs that my daughter likes too. Like, I'm listening to the new Noah Khan album because she's like into him. And I like when we get in the car and she's like, you put that album on, and I'll listen to it. And I like, she gets surprised that like I know all the words. Like, to me, that's something that we can connect on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure. What's new with you otherwise? What's going on with you? I mean, we didn't really talk about camp either. We have that coming up.
Yeah. We got camp. I'll let you talk more about that. I've also got an event with Ryanette in Tacoma called Spring Fling, your event. And then aside from that, I'm just doing a lot of traveling. They changed up my position. Ray Smith retired this year. They eliminated both our positions, but made a new position, which mine isn't that different than what it was before. But I'm going out to do more hands-on printing with shops to get on press. And then just my world, a typical day is we spend $2,000 to $4,000 sending me somewhere, booking hotels and everything for the week. And I get there, and the agreement is, you're going to give me a press. Here's all the inks I'm going to bring. We're going to do this. And every time I get there, like, we had a rush order. I'm like, all right, we talked about this last week that, you can't pull the rush order thing. And we creatively figure out a way around that because I can't stop them, from playing.
Right.
But yeah, my week is just one frustration to the next, and hope that I feel like I was productive at the end of the week.
Now, is it more going in to show them the use case for certain inks or trying new things?
It's both. I mean, actually, my brother-in-law described what I did better than I've ever thought of. And I wouldn't describe it this way myself, but he described what I did as the beginning of Castaway, where Tom Hanks goes into like FedEx and like they optimize, that processing area. So a lot of times I go into a shop and they give me a press, and we start running whatever the product is that, my company wants to win them over with. And then I'm going around optimizing the press, and I'm teaching people as I go along, like, here's what, how to manage the temperature of the pallets. Here's what to look for in the dryer. Here's the parameters that Plastisol behaves within. You can't change those parameters. You just can't by choosing to run the dryer faster or whatever you want to do. Here's some things that are constants. here are some things that have changed. Technology was bound to change in the past 30 years since you started printing. Because we always come across, it used to be the 20-year printer, but now it's the 30-year printer where you can't tell them anything new. Like, I've been printing this long. I started with colonial ink and paint thinner. Well, we don't do that anymore. And the inks are much more complicated than they used to be. So I do a lot of that. I was doing a lot more like public events last year, and I think that'll continue this year. But a lot of my day-to-day has been teaching special effects or demoing new inks that we have. But that's what I feel like I bring to the table has nothing to do with the ink. The ink's going to work. I mean, I'm a part of the biggest ink company in the world. There's so many steps in developing our inks, and we use quality ingredients. It's finding those places in the process in the shop that failed, and then politely pointing out, like, hey, would you consider changing this? And I don't want to say, like, you're doing this wrong. The guy that I replaced, he would go into your shop and say, you're doing this wrong, and pull you off press, and that doesn't win people over. They don't want you back in your shop. So I try.
I can attest to that. We've had people come in that are just like, make you feel like a moron. It's like, it's so much nicer when you're like, okay, like, this is what you do. That's cool. Like, that's great. But like, let me try a couple of my things and let's like hold them side by side and have a conversation.
And that's a much more
and then
productive conversation to have.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is that there's no other group in the world that I fit in more with than this one. Never felt like I fit in any group that I was in. I always felt like imposter syndrome, but in those groups. But in this, I can walk into a shop with total strangers and we're going to bond over a lot of things. There's always a music weirdo I'm going to get along with. There's always a skateboard weirdo I'm going to get along with. There's always a band guy that's on tour half the year I'm going to get along with. But we're all there. Everybody's figured out things they think work, but they don't know why they work. And so then I can come in and explain, like, here's why they work. You're doing the right thing. Here's a couple of things that'll make this a little bit better. Maybe if I explain this a different way than the way you're thinking of it, you'll see that changing this part of the process will improve the output. So a lot of what I do is just very polite speaking to people, and then trying to introduce to them ideas that sometimes they have to feel like are their own. Not bring up Mark Coudray again, but he told me the key to consulting is asking why 11 times. And at that point, the customer, and just listening, the customer is going to tell you why they do things, and they're going to realize what they have been doing wrong. And if you did everything correctly, they're going to tell you that you were a total waste of their time. They shouldn't have paid you any money because they feel like they got to the answer themselves, and they did, but you were consulting and coaching to get them to that answer. That's the tricky part about consultants. If you didn't really lose money at the end of the day, if you feel like you came up with the answer, then the consultant was doing his job pretty well.
Right. And I've talked about that a few times. This is a different side of the business, but like Kevin came in and taught like my salespeople and myself, like how to do outbound in like this day and age. And, as the owner, I heard a lot of what he said and I'm like, oh, I knew that already. Like I knew I should be doing that, whatever. But like really the buy-in and the investment of the whole thing was more just like knowing I was on the right track, or taking nuggets of information that he gave and adding them to the things that I already thought about and then putting them together. And then now I have like a useful tool. Yeah. Because what I had before was some ideas and uncertainty, and then nothing ever happened. But when I get somebody who goes around and knows what they're talking about, and then I take my thoughts and put them together, now I'm like, oh, I have an actionable thing now. So I agree with what you're saying. It's just coming in and like affirming things and tweaking things that need tweaked. But to bring that up, it's kind of the reason why we wanted to do originally why we did the white ink camp. And this is our third time is, so many people just kind of like get white, whatever white, throw it in a screen. They use the same squeegee. They just hammer it through and they do the whole process. And then they print shirts, and sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it has all these issues. And it's funny, like ever since with this one, I've seen chatter on like certain groups and whatever. And like, oh, is anybody going to camp? Like, is it just going to be them talking about printing white and then using a Stampinator or something? And I'm just like, that's not what this is. It's not what's happening. And I think you probably have a good way to describe it, but it's going through all these, the whole process of like having the right screen, picking the right mesh, having the right EOM, having everything dialed in the darkroom, to now you have a properly set up screen to put it on press. And then there's all the press variables. Like, what squeegee durometer are you using, what angle, what pressure, what is it, a cotton white, is it a poly shirt, are you using a blocker, like all these different things. And we walk through all those processes in all these stations. And then your station specifically, do you want to give kind of some 2 cents on what you'll be talking about?
Well, yeah, but I'll preface it with, so the first time I met Andy in person, he took me and Kyle to lunch. I barely remember it, but his whole intention was he wanted to kind of butter me up and just ask me, what is the perfect white? What is the best white out there? At the time I was working for Rutland Group. Rutland Group made a lot of different whites. Which one's the best? And my answer was, there isn't a best one. You've got to find the best one for you, but you've also got to know how to tune it together. So I used to test whites in my shop by putting white A on one side and white B on one side of a screen and putting them together, thinking that from a scientific point of view, you're keeping constants. You're keeping measurable constants, but different whites are made to react differently. So it's not fair to the other white if you can optimize it, back off pressure, go with a softer squeegee and get more prints per gallon, but do some changes on press. So one of the things we'll talk about is changing your angles, changing your pressures, what to look for, how to calibrate that white to clear correctly. Everybody wants a single stroke white, but that's not how the white was designed to be built, or that's not how we built it. Wilflex is the originator of the plastisol whites, and Rutland and Union, QCM, all kind of under that umbrella now. Each one had a different philosophy of how to make their white inks. Some use dye blocking chemistry to control dye migration and bring down the pigment load. Another one went just all pigment and no dye blocking package. You can't print them the same. They're going to clear the screen differently. They behave differently because on a microscopic side, their structure is different. So the point of my station will be optimizing whichever white you're going to use to get the best results out of it, and then understand why you're making those changes. When I first started this job, the most common thing out there was people printing with 100 PSI, just thinking that more pressure is going to give them better detail. I mean, it made sense to them in their heads, but I've had to explain, like, all right, if you're spreading butter on toast and you're adding too much pressure, not much butter is going to make it underneath that blade and onto the toast. If you back off pressure, if you whip up the butter before you do that, all these things are going to contribute to a better coating of bread. And then, we can move on from there too. I can make metaphors for days. So
I haven't heard the buttered toast one before. That was pretty good.
Here's another one for you then. This is one of my more brand.
I always hear the rebar one, like talking about the shirt fabric is like rebar, and like you're putting the concrete in. Like, are you putting it on top, or are you mixing it in the middle, and then you end up with like a sturdy, stiff print that's going to crack because of all of that stuff?
So mine's a surfboard.
I haven't heard the buttered toast one.
It's the same thing, but coming from a surfing background, when you make a surfboard, you have the foam blank, and then you have the fiberglass cloth, and then you pour the resin over it, and the resin fills those voids and gives it structure. If you push the ink into the garment, the garment's now impregnated with that resin, just like the surfboard. It cures between those fibers and gives it structure like fiberglass does. So similar. I mean, it's two different ways to get to the same answer. But yeah, the other one that I use, a lot of people, for some dumb reason in this industry, we sell ink by the gallon. We should be selling it by the poundage. So it's really easy to make an ink, froth it up, add some filler in it, and make it look like there's more in that bucket, but not have as much pound per bucket. So then you could equate that to 1 pound of butter versus 1 pound of whipped cream. If you start spreading that 1 pound of whipped cream across a lot of slices of toast, and the more dense butter, you're going to cover more slices of toast with the butter because there's more density to it. There's more solids to it. That whipped cream is mostly air, so you're not going to get as many prints out of it if you're printing toast. So yeah,
we're talking about all this food right now. We must be hungry.
I am. I'm getting there.
The funny thing about like the first and second camp that it kind of opened my eyes too is like we saw prints that we like in doing it. We have shirts on press and we're trying different things. In doing it, we had these logos on the back and we had all this fine detail stuff and halftones or whatever. And you would look at one, you'd be like, yeah, this looks pretty good. Like this looks normal. This looks great, whatever. And then you do one where you finesse some things and you do the butter toast method and you do, oh, well, we switched from standard thread to thin thread and we did this. And then you look at them side by side and it's like, oh, like this is why you do it the right way instead of just like, oh, we put ink in screen and we turn pressure and we just print a shirt. Like, I was like, oh, this one over here, I can see every perfect line detail that's not mashed together. And I don't see any fibers coming through and all these other things. Like, this one is passable. Yeah, it looks okay. It looks fine. But this one over here is what separates the men from the boys.
Right.
And that's where it was kind of like, oh, okay, like I see now. And that's why we had this camp where we talk about the importance of white ink and an underbase is if you can dial this in and know the reason why you're doing what you're doing and you can change things on the fly to make it work, then like all your other prints should be fine, like top colors and whatever. Yeah. Like if you get this foundation correct, then the rest of your printing life should be a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, that's aside from registration, getting the correct underbase is more than half the battle. Everything else after that should line up fine, should work fine. I mean, there's a reason we don't make low bleed color matching systems. You shouldn't need it if you have a good base.
Yeah. So it's very important. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate you coming on with me today and talking about all this stuff. I know some of this stuff isn't easy, but I appreciate you making these posts and going through it. And you can tell in your posts that you've been there, done that, and still in it or whatever. And it's important to a lot of people to see these people they look up to on the internet with screen printing knowledge or whatever to say like, hey, I'm there too. Like, I'm right with you. I've been here. I know where you're at. So I'm trying to say the same thing. And if anybody wants to reach out to me to talk about life or feelings or whatever, they can. With John, they can go to, what was the Facebook group again?
Screenprint Meltdown Party. I was going to do Screenprint Pity Party, but I figured then nobody would make comments about. So we stuck with Meltdown Party.
But yeah, we're there. We're available. If I had a sweet hotline number, this is where it would be on the bottom of the Chad. Just put like 862 hot dogs or something. And also too, if you want to come hang out with me and John and talk about feelings and talk about white ink, we're going to have the camp coming up May 17th, 18th, and you can get tickets on our website. But just thank you, dude. I appreciate you.
Oh, dude,
and as a human, as a friend, and all this stuff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your text and everything. I'm looking forward to the camp. I was trying to get my wife to come along. Like, we're going to do cool stuff after hours. You should come, but she's going to be in New York that same weekend. But I've done an event at the Rock facility. It's a great facility.
I've never been there. I'm excited. I'm going to go a couple days beforehand, but it should be a good time. It looks beautiful, and I'm going to be grilling. So just come eat a hot dog. It's worth the ticket alone to come have grilled lunch.
And, I think the other part that we don't talk enough about is the camaraderie and the networking. So you can look at, from the business point of view, the networking you can do, meeting other print shops, but just the commiserating alone, how many times have you seen the same people come to every one of these events? Like, we know there's like a core 6 that...
Yeah, for sure.
And I love seeing them. And it makes it that much better. And then it seems like we add one or two at every event to that core. There's definitely a lot of positive relationship building from these events.
Mm-hmm. And it's just nice to go see these people. And again, that could be your next, screen print support group or whatever. It's just nice to talk to these people and be in the same boat. But hey, you learn some stuff too. So whatever. Yeah. All right, let me ask this question. Cause we talked about a bunch on the show. What is your probably biggest takeaway? Cause you say you have these dreams of like going back and like doing your shop over or like fixing things. What's something that you've learned now that you wish you would have told yourself when you had your old shop before? Like, what is like probably the biggest key takeaway?
Well, I've referenced it a couple times in my post. Stephen Till, the first time I went to his shop, on one wall it said there's no such thing as a t-shirt emergency. I wish I would have believed that, thought that, or believed it. I'm sure I know people told me that. I mean, I think in the span of like 2 months, Charlie Tablieb, Richard Hoffman, and I think it was Lon Winters all came in my shop at different times. And I was up on one of the outriggers of the press chasing a little dot. And each time the message was the same, that one, nobody's going to see that. But two, your press isn't turning. You should be turning, invoicing. Like you're not making money right now. So I think I would have, I know I would have benefited if I just would have listened to the people around me, my wife, like, it's time to go home. you can't do any more tonight than you think you're going to do. But I would keep pushing myself to do that, wear myself out, and not be any more productive for it. I just lost more hours and more rest. I just went so many years believing that I could skip a lunch, skip a dinner, skip a breakfast, skip sleep just to get the job done. And I was picking the wrong battle. In my head, it was a battle. It was just the wrong one.
It's good advice. I like it. Here comes another hard-hitting question. What animal would you become if you could transform Animorph style?
This is going to be a funny one. A pelican.
Dude, why? It's like the creepiest, worst thing.
Okay, one, a bird for sure. Definitely want to be a bird. Flying without the worry of falling. Like you're expert at not falling. I kind of have a fear of heights, but it's only because I don't want to fall. So pelicans, good at flying. I saw this video where this pelican was surfing, like riding the wave, surfing. That's another one. You got something cool about you, like a whole tool basket right under your face. Like you could just go scoop up a little tasty fish and then like hang on to it for a second and eat it when you want. There's no like hide it from somebody else is going to take it away from you. The more I talk about it, pelicans are fucking rad.
Birds creep me out so hard. I'm way more creeped out by birds than probably anything else. If I was to be a bird, I would want to be an eagle. We have eagles here, and they're fucking badasses.
Yeah, we have them where I live too, but they don't sound anything like they do on TV.
No, I never hear them. I just see them above me, and I'm like, when I walk at the lake all the time, they're like right above me, and I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna swoop down and like take my face off.
So I thought eagle versus pelican, but here's where I was at. The eagles, he just sits there and like tears apart the animal. Yeah. Tears it apart. It's fucking gruesome. Pelican just like gobble, done.
Hides it in its pouch and then just eats it when it wants to. It's a little pocket snack. That's true. All right. Good answer.
Pocket.
If someone were to play you in a movie, who would it be?
I know this one. It's Justin Theroux, only because my wife and neighbors said that back when I didn't have as much of a beard. I don't know that much about him. He seems to play jackasses or assholes, and I'm kind of an asshole. So
you kind of do look like him a little bit.
I think if I shaved,
it would be more so.
Yeah. There was one Halloween, like the only time I've shaved in the past 20 something years. I've had a beard most of my life at this point, but one year I shaved for Halloween, and we had a Halloween party at my house. Nobody recognized me. But I got the Justin Theroux comments.
The last time I shaved was for Halloween, is because I was Sam from Lord of the Rings, and I regret it immensely. I saw a post the other day. I'll have to send you. I sent it to Bill, where it was one of those like reviews from a podcast or whatever, and it was Dusty. I can't remember his last name. He's a guy who's got a beard and like a trucker hat or whatever. And it was one of those where it was this big burly guy like me. He was more heavy than me, but had a huge beard, and went and got like a barber haircut where they like, did up the sides and this whole thing, and then like shaved his beard off, and they were like, oh no, like he had no idea that was under there. It was like your fucking pelican pouch, just like super deep fucking second chin. And I was like, oh my, he's gonna have to stay indoors for 6 months. Like,
yeah. That's my fear now. Like, I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. Like,
don't do
I've
it.
had a beard long.
Don't.
Like, do I just, it's not that I don't have a chin. It's my neck might go further out of my chin than it used to.
I just am so doughy without this that it's just, it's not flattering in any context. So don't do that. Don't get rid of the beard.
Yeah, you want your old skinny kid with tattoos.
Yeah, it's not ideal. All right, I'll ask you this one. If you could erase one movie or TV show from existence, what would it be?
Oh man, I should have a really good answer for this. From existence,
a movie you hate or a show that you really hate.
There's already one recently. Have you seen that movie Apex with Charlize Theron?
They just came out like a couple days ago.
Yeah, I was so underwhelmed. What a waste of time. Like, Australia looked cool, but that was it. Like, it wasn't an original idea. It wasn't even that interesting. It was just like Deliverance. But
oh, well, that bums me out because I was looking forward to watching it.
It even when it started to get cool, like there's like this almost cannibal Holocaust like reference in there, and it just didn't go any further. Like, not big on gore and stuff, but That's not the one I would erase. I know I've got a better answer than that, but that was a waste of my time.
I watched one I talked about on the show before, but House of Dynamite was another Netflix movie that came out, and I watched it, and I was actually pissed off. Like, I went on a trip that day. I watched it on the airplane, and it's funny because the whole movie is about a nuclear missile headed to hit Chicago, and I was in an airplane headed to Chicago, and it was so upsetting and just like underwhelming, and there was no climax. It was just a super dick tease the entire movie, and it just pissed me off. I was in a bad mood for like the rest of the day after I watched it.
I saw that one too. I rarely remember titles in movies. I mean, like in the 80s, it was easy. There's like 6 or 7 good movies a year that came out. They just the whole year. Now there's like, they come out monthly. But I saw that one, and same thing. Like, all right, where's the ending?
Well, they did the whole thing of like, oh, this is coming, this is going to happen, and it's going to whatever, and it's from one person's point of view, and then it's like, oh no, missile's going to hit, like countdown hits 0, and then it goes black, and then it's a whole another hour and a half of somebody else's fucking point of view. And you're like, oh, I got to sit through this whole thing again. You sit through the whole thing, countdown to 0, and then it's like screen to black, and then it does someone else's whole perspective again, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you're thinking, okay, the last person's point of view is going to show this thing like nuke Chicago, or we're going to figure out who even sent the fucking missile. Nothing, no payoff, no nothing, goes to 0, credits. And I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like who did this? This is like, it was good cast, good. Like the movie had you hooked. Like it had you in it, and there was no payoff.
Yeah. I was signed up for the ride, and there was no good ending. And I'll go to the sci-fi version. So being an 80s kid, Star Wars was everything to me. Like that was the shit. And then the first new one, when they brought up the next trilogy, everything after that was just garbage. Like the practical effects in the first 3, the props and everything, that was great. It was a real, like you could immerse yourself in that world.
You just didn't like Jar Jar.
I didn't like the Ewoks in Jedi. But I didn't like the merchandise grabs, that it went for after that. So my son was crazy about anything that had to do with Star Wars because, I introduced him to it. But he had all those other movies. I remember watching, like, I forget which one. Almost nothing happened. I think Darth Vader's face melts at the end, or the mask melts. I just don't care. Everything after that was just garbage. That's to funny. Me.
Yeah, I get it. You get attached to some of that stuff, and then some of it just gets too much. Like especially with Star Wars right now, there's like a new movie or new show like every other week, and I'm like so far behind. Like I don't even know where to start at this point. I tried watching Andor, like started watching it recently, but then I kind of like lost track, and I need to go back and rewatch it all over again. But there's too much.
I did really enjoy Alien Earth.
That was good. The eyeball was my favorite character.
Yeah. Well, just even the ship, like they did a good job at not really nailing down one specific time period, for the continuity of the series. I liked that. And I wish they would have done that with Star Wars, because I feel like they looked back on the first Star Wars movies and were like, that was garbage. Like we can do better than that with computer effects. I liked that more spooky, I don't know, more mysterious feel to those sets and that photography.
You didn't really know what was going on, but
yeah,
it was definitely good. It definitely brought you in. What song would you want played at your funeral?
Oh, okay. I've been listening to, so it's weird. I went to Behemoth and Deicide last week with my son, listening to that a lot, but I've been listening to a lot of old, like classic country. And I think it would just be funny with people knowing how distant I am from certain things in life to have Johnny Cash's When the Man Comes Around play. It's so ominous. Like, I want people to be bummed. Like everybody, I think all my friends are going to, like, as they die, are going to have funny things. I have a recording of them like knocking, from the inside of the coffin. And I may change my mind on that, but be bummed.
I want everybody to sit here and get that good crying for me, because I never was able to in life.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'd have to pick another song for that, though.
All right, I will ask it. Top 4 favorite movies of all time.
Okay, in no order. Goonies, for sure. I'm an 80s kid. Harold and Maude, loved that movie.
I think I've never seen Harold and Maude.
Are you shitting me, dude?
I don't think I've ever seen
We
it.
should do that together. It is one of the greatest movies ever. It's
Okay.
well, it's just
Writing it down.
yeah. Once you see it, it'll make sense. And it's dark. It's a dark comedy. There was a lot of good dark comedies that came out of the 70s. I don't think a lot of people realize that the TV show MASH originally was meant to be shown without a laugh track. And when they added the laugh track, then it became a comedy. But you could
I love MASH.
set. Oh, now, so get the box set and turn off the laugh track. And it's so dark, but in a really good way.
Okay.
So the other two are Interstellar. I
yeah.
love that kind of like mind play. And then 28 Days Later. Like I'll watch any zombie movie. I'll watch any zombie movie, any movie that takes place on a spaceship, a boat, a submarine, or like isolated
Dude,
Antarctic.
I fucking love submarine movies. Almost all of them are my favorite movies. Like Das Boot and fucking Hunt for Red October and U-571, and there's a million of them. Like I like all of them.
I think I like movies that take place in confined spaces.
It's
like
so
it
tense.
automatically that tension, that confinement is a character in itself. I think in the movie a lot of times
I agree.
they do it well.
Yeah, it's good. I can't remember where I was. I was like out of town or something when the new 28 years later or whatever the new one was. I missed it and I didn't watch it. And like Brian and Bill went and I was like, oh, how was it? Whatever. And they were just like, it's just a ton of dick. And I was like, oh, all right, maybe I'll wait for that to come out. And then I asked my dad, because my dad is always up on movies. And I was like, what'd you think? And the first thing he said was, there's just a lot of dick. And I was like, oh, all right. I guess I just won't maybe watch this movie, or maybe I will if I'm in the mood for just apparently a ton of dick. So
I'll live without it.
I skipped it. I haven't watched it yet. We'll see.
So I guess some of the sad things about where we are in life right now, for years, I've always had this joke metaphor that like, all right, when the zombies attack and then whatever, but now it's like these things that are coming together now are kind of like that when the zombies attack situation. It's just not really zombies. But if you're ever to come visit my house, it cracks up people that like certain doors have locks on the outside because they have this whole like strategy of when we get chased into our house. So because of the windows we have, because there's window wells, zombies are going to fall through the window wells and into the basement. So the basement door locks on the outside and the ground level. And then as we're fighting our way up the stairs, there's a couple of vantage points I have. And the last couple closets have locks, so you have to push a body in there, lock it.
You get this all figured out.
Oh yeah. Then I get to the access in my. So the whole point is getting back to the main our closet and our master bedroom, and then go up through the attic access, and then cut a star shape with a sawzall. That way, when if they can make it up that far, they kind of track themselves there, and then you just have a vantage point. So you
just sit up there with a machete and just keep lopping the heads off as they come through the hole in the ceiling.
They're gonna stuff themselves in there anyway. The first 2 or 3 become a plug, so they just got to take their heads off. Pretty good.
It's a great way to end this episode where we're talking about feelings. Find the way to John so that you can get through the zombies.
And then once that's passed, then we're going to take control of the water supply, the big water tower on the next hill, and we're good.
Water tower is a good one. I have the huge concrete structure building. Like it's like, I don't know, it's like fucking 40, 50 feet in the air or something. And there's no access to it other than this one bridge. And I'm like, that's the perfect zombie place. Like nothing can get in there. Like even humans can't get in there unless you go across the bridge. I was like, I would just go in there, blow the bridge, get myself a rope ladder if I had to go up or down, and I would just hang out in there. No one could ever get in. It's like smooth sides too. There's nothing to grab onto. There's nothing to climb. I was like, this thing's perfect. That's where I want to go.
Well, speaking of, MREs are on sale right now. They're like $3 each. I just got a couple cases.
Get a couple pails. I know. I want to get more of that stuff when I get my house. But all right, dude. Enjoy your day.
You too, buddy. Great talking to you.
Later.
See ya.